Welcome to the Black Paper. My name is Ndukwe Onoha.
And I'm Chetawanse.
Cheta, it's been such an emotionally draining few weeks that we decided that today we would try and do what a lot of people in our community don't do, and that's just take care of our mental health by trying as trying as much as we can. I wonder how long it will last, but try as much as we can not to delve into politics.
So since you don't want to delve into politics, what do you want to delve into? Geopolitics or economics?
You see,
Because the price of oil is going up.
in fact, I ran into a friend the other day in at Costco, and the girl was just like, this damn situation now, the fuel queues are backed up. And it's one of those little things that just drives home the point that even when you think something doesn't concern you, it concerns you a whole lot more than you can think about.
Well, let me put it like this. The day after the bombs were dropped, the first bombs were dropped, um, I told my wife, not the day after, on that day, because we woke up to the news. It was an early morning attack, and I told my wife, "Oh baby, we need to go and we need to go and buy fuel. I said we need to go and fill the tank." And she was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And anyway, we went, and almost
Mm.
the fuel queue that we
Yep.
saw was like those days that you used to have fuel scarcity in Nigeria. Like
Ah, God, please sorry,
it
man.
was ridiculous, but it was the right call because fuel prices have gone up. And fuel
Yep.
prices have also gone up in Nigeria. So Nigerians, for the first time, are being exposed to because because we had that fuel subsidy before, when things happened, it would
There was
not have
always a cushion.
there was
Yeah.
always a cushion. It would not have an immediate effect on the price of petrol in Nigeria. But for the first time, Nigerians are directly being exposed, and
Uh,
people are not finding it interesting.
yeah, the whole, I think Nigerians a lot of Nigerians anyway are experiencing a lot of firsts in their lifetime. So the effect of geopolitical upheaval
Giaga.
in the Middle East, the effect of a full floating or almost full floating of the currency. So the effect of and then right now, to be fair, the effect of not having any productive capacity, in quote, because even though you're looking at the fact that for those of us who send money back home, the exchange rate, the value of what you sent, in quote, has gone up, or rather the amount that is received has gone up. However, the value of what is purchased remains the same because now you're actually buying. So gone are the days when you can buy, say, conflicts for however amounts here, and back home you're like, oh my goodness, you're now it's the same amount, but also also a first that Cheta Nigerians have witnessed in the past few weeks is the effect of having someone so blatantly unprepared go up against a counterpart in a journalistic counterpart in the in the UK, and then realize,
You're talking about Daniel Bwala and Meji Hassan.
oh my goodness.
Let's start with so full disclosure, and
Mm,
I have quite a number of calls and messages from people who noticed. I was present in the crowd on the day of the recording.
mm.
Oh, I even
I
remember when I was invited, they told me that there was tickets for two, and I called you,
Yes, you called
but
me, yeah, but
you
it was
couldn't
too
make
late.
it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
couldn't make
yeah.
it, and
So
thank God I did not make it because shit, I
because
would have
you
shriveled.
no no see let's put it like this. Thank God you didn't make it because as it is, you are talking to my ghost. I died of shame that day. I died of shame. So what a lot of people don't know is that there were so what Al Jazeera eventually published was 49 minutes long.
Mm,
Being that I was present, I know that there was about 10, somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes of material that did not make the final cut, including a few questions from the audience. And there were two people who actually asked some very silly questions.
mm,
They were clearly what I would call government bootlickers that were there, that maybe were planted into the crowds to ask some ridiculously soft questions
mm,
that even Boala could not understand. So there were two questions like that. But I
mm,
think the one that I am a bit upset that Al Jazeera did not include was there was a point where, and I don't remember the exchange that preceded it. And
mm,
I'm sure if you noticed in that during that exchange, there were a lot of times that Boala would say something and the crowd would just laugh because they
mm,
found him ridiculous. That laugh was so the foreigners, the non-Nigerians in the crowd found it hilarious.
mm.
The Nigerians in the crowd were laughing out of what else can we do?
Kai.
But there was an exchange where, and I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. But when that exchange happened, nobody laughed.
Mm.
And one person was like, Chineke. And that person was, and that person was me. It was so stunning that, no, it was so stunning that nobody could say it. As in, people could not laugh. And
Mm.
I blotted out Chineke. And it was this. Him and Mehdi Hassan had a small exchange, and Mehdi Hassan said, why? Hassan asked him, but
Mm.
why? And Daniel Bola's answer was, because why has a long tail and two branches?
My God,
And
isn't
I,
that's primary school banter?
it's less than primary school. And as in, for the life of me, I don't know why. I see the Al Jazeera guys were just being trying to be nice to him. That ought to have made the final cut so that people
No,
will
no,
see
maybe,
just how
maybe.
because they see the fundamental problem here, and this leads into why a lot of people ran from Nigeria and in the case of the UK joined the Boris wave. There's this dissonance between the lived reality of everybody else in Nigeria and the
Mm,
political class or the business elites. There's a complete dissonance. And that dissonance, one of the big manifestations of that dissonance is the complete shamelessness of the whole thing. So the day of the night of the interview, there's this publicist who sometimes moonlights as a reporter for channels television, and she put up a tweet. Essentially, so she was present there. So she was essentially
mm,
praising Boala like as in
mm,
this was before Al Jazeera, of course, way before Al Jazeera released it. She was
mm,
essentially praising Boala. Now, a month later, because this one was taped almost a month ago, it was taped on
mm.
February 11th, and then it was released on March 5th. A month later, this thing goes up, and
On my
people,
birthday. So that was that was Al Jazeera's Al Jazeera's birthday present to
birthday
me.
presents to you. Yes,
Kai.
and let me report you to everybody. I called on to quit to wish him happy birthday, and he was pretending that it's not his birthday, like if I wouldn't know.
No,
Anyway,
no, 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 no.
yeah,
You said
see,
no, Cheta.
admit that you were too skint to spend on me.
No, Cheta.
All
You
you needed
said
to do, see,
it was a see. It was a very Nigerian conversation.
all I
You
was
said I
asking
hear say they
for,
born you today, and I said now so I hear. Oh. And
all I
so
was asking for, we are both Nigerians, so all I was asking for was for you to send me a drink, but
see,
you did
Cheta.
not.
That's that. No,
Anyway,
no, no. See,
we are talking of
I
Daniel
will come
Bala.
and I will come and spend on
We're
you. Don't
talking,
worry.
okay. You've said
You
it in
see.
public, so it shall be held to
No,
account.
we're
Anyway,
having a very Nigerian banter. So,
mm-mm. Anyway,
but carry on, carry on. Yeah.
back to so this lady deleted the tweets.
Mm,
Again, it's all part of so the problem, and it's this kind of things that essentially um reminds you why you opened yourself to be exploited by the British. Because this whole immigration thing, this whole immigration
mm,
parade is exploitation. But you see, when there's that complete shamelessness in the political class,
Mm,
the underlying message there is that these guys are not interested in making anything better. That's the
true,
underlying message.
true.
And that is what
And
people hear. And people hear that kind of thing. And as as hard as the whole immigration parade is,
mm,
people are like, it is worth it because I cannot put myself through this. I mean, one of the questions that Mehdi asked, which is a truth, during the campaign in 2023, in 2022, 2023,
mm,
the man who has become President, Tinubu, actually said word for word, if we have not solved the power problem in 4 years, don't vote for me. Those were his words.
mm.
It was a promise. Now, 4 years later, the power problem has not been solved. It has, in short, for many people, it has gotten worse. I can tell you for a fact that my office just had to buy a new generator, knowing fully well how expensive generators are. They just had to buy a new generator because the generator packed up.
Mm.
Yes, people are out there. The man is not speaking to the public. People are out there campaigning on his behalf. And all things being
No,
equal, he is going to get his second term.
but you see, Cheta, yeah, I think on one hand you've looked at it from the angle of um people not living in a bubble, as it were, once they get into politics, and then they have humans like Boala coming to disgrace a whole country. But I think there's even something worse, in my opinion. And the reason why what they do is hurt those of us who are here and who are scattered all over the world trying to make a living out of our talent. And that is the fact that for anyone to go up against Mehdi Hassan has a reputation. You don't go up against him unprepared. You don't go up against him if you don't have some, counter argument, or if you don't have a well uh, prepared rebuttal. And then, so to now
Did you see
go have
how
some,
deeply? Did you see how deeply my eyes rolled into my head?
yeah, but he does have a reputation of coming with what people will call receipts. So to now
Okay,
have
permit me to
a
retort.
Boala go. Yeah, okay. No, but to not have Ibuala, what he says is that, well, and again he goes as presidential spokesperson. So again, in the firmament of presidential spokespeople or spokespeople, a presidential spokesperson should be someone who at least will remember what tweets he had put out, would at least remember his own words, if just a few years ago. But then to not go and sit on an international stage where you represent not just yourself, not just your intelligence, but the intelligence of the people and the country, the presidency who you serve, it just makes it look, or you ask the question, is this the best we have to offer? And if that is the best we have to offer, shame on us.
So Aisha Osori, who was one of the panelists that day, put up a very brilliant Substack yesterday that kind of psychoanalyzed the whole thing. And Madam Producer, I've just sent it to you so that you can put it in the show notes. It's important. I think it's a very important accompanying read because it analyzes the
Mm,
behavior of people like Daniel Boala. Um, so the points of the whole thing is they are not interested in the international audience per se.
mm.
They are playing to an audience of one, and that is the
Well,
president. And the
won't the
idea
president even
is,
be ashamed at this behavior?
which is the point. So her opinion is that the president enjoys humiliating people because
Mm,
when people humiliate themselves on your behalf, there are not too many small, too many better expressions of absolute power over a man that he will debase himself completely for you.
mm.
You know, when somebody is willing to debase himself on your behalf, it means you have a lot of power over him.
Well,
So all of this, I mean, see, a part of Daniel Brola will be very aware that that video was very embarrassing, but he posted it on his Twitter handle. That tells you a lot.
Chita,
He's not playing. He's
you
not
do have
playing
you
for us. He's not playing for us. He's playing for
You,
an
you, you
audience
do
of one.
you do have a point,
And
though.
yeah,
You,
and
you, you
I
do have a
think I
point.
think it's important to point out we're recording this on Sunday evening.
Mm,
Mhm. Now, if Bola had any shame, he would have resigned by now. But we have established that I mean, just appearing at on that interview has established that
mm,
he's shameless. So he's not going to resign. Which brings us to the next best thing. If the people who he purports to represent felt that he did a bad job, why has he
mm,
not at least been censored? Well, I mean, left to me, if they found it so egregious, he would have been fired. But he hasn't
mm,
even been censored, talk less of fired. So that tells you everything.
mm.
That tells you every single thing.
Well, I mean, I can't argue about that because it's almost a common knowledge that this particular president, part of his so-called political strategy, charm, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to, rather than fight an opponent, bring them into the tent and more or less, over the course of time, make them eat their own words. Which
Yes.
is why the very famous quote by former Governor Raji Fashola of Lagos State comes to mind when he said, "May my loyalty not be tested." Because the president has and if you look at it really, it is a strategy that has worked really well for him. Everyone who was a vocal critic at some point or the other has somehow been brought into the tent and then been turned around as a vocal praise singing machine. And as you said, Cheta, there is no better way to show a hold over a man than to debase them in such a manner that they not only go back to their own vomit, but they willingly shovel it up. I mean, you culturally look at the ambassadors, recent ambassadorial list will tell you all you need to know.
I mean, let's not go into that. But I think one thing that needs to be pointed out, which when you talk about this shamelessness as an art form,
Mm,
um, is the fact that one of the reasons why shamelessness is so rampant within our political class is that
mm,
as a society, we do not punish bad behavior.
mm,
Um, so I mean, again, it's one of the reasons why so many of us have opted out. Um, you One thing that worries me, and I'm seeing it increasing in the reaction of the British political class to the illegal attack on Iran. Again, I think it's important to point out that you don't have to like the Ayatollahs to
mm,
admit and accept that what the Americans and the Israelis have done in Iran is not legal by the laws that have governed international relations since 1945. And I think the argument needs to be made. If you don't like somebody, if you feel somebody is bad, you don't have a right to by yourself go and punish the person.
mm,
There's supposed to be a process. Now, when you look at people like your sister and Farage, and I'm going to relate it with the whole Daniel Bola thing,
mm.
because it's your sister that I'm concerned about, not
No, no, wait, hang on,
not
Cheta.
Farage.
Let's
We
remember
can
you're the
I
Tory adjacent person.
can I
It is
finish
more your sister.
talking? Can I
It is your
finish
sister
talking?
because
Can
you
I
have a
finish
Tory.
talking? So you
Yeah,
see,
but
this is where this is what I'm talking about. So
mhm,
Daniel Bwala can do what he did because
mm,
he knows if tomorrow Tinubu decides that he's no longer useful and
mm,
sent him out of the APC, the ADC will probably pick him up, or the PDP. We have this whole all is forgiving mindset
mm,
in our country. And for me, one of the things that one of the conclusions that I have reached is this: societies, or let me rephrase, individuals can and should forgive when offended. For those of us who profess to be Christians, that's the right thing to do. when this after all, the Lord Jesus Christ said, "And I am sorry, turn the other cheek." So individuals should forgive. However, societies should not. Societies need to impose a cost. When people are badly behaved, societies need to impose a cost on those people because of the effects that imposing that cost will have, the deterrent effects that imposing that cost will have on others. When
Yeah.
you keep letting people get away with bad behavior, you should not be surprised when other people do bad behavior because you have shown that it is acceptable.
Yeah,
That
there are
is
no
one of
consequences for bad
There are no
behavior.
consequences. That's one of our fundamental problems, and that's why impunity has become the watchword. And I worry about the Western world generally.
Mm.
It seems to be so. Yesterday, another tranche of the Epstein files were released. I'm not going to speculate too much on that, but it would appear that the president of the United States actually sexually assaulted a girl and an underage girl. And it's not hard for the arguments to be made that the attack on Iran was because he knew that
Well,
this was coming.
wait, hang on, Cheta. I said that last week, and you called the conspiracy theory.
I don't
And this
remember you
president,
saying that.
I did. Hey, Cheta, this is water.
Eh? You need to now. You need to explain that. You need to explain that to our non-Nigerian audience.
In fact, no,
But I'm sure that most of our African audience would have watched that thing.
no, but I think I even
And
got it wrong because you're the one who's supposed to have brought it up and said this is water. But anyway,
okay,
just a quick
this is water.
this just a
Anyway,
quick explanation. That Boala when facing media, when Medi gave him receipts of the things he had said, quote for word for word. He kept saying, and Boala kept saying he didn't remember any of making any of those statements. Uh, Hassan just kept serving up his own words, and at some point he had nothing else to do rather than hold up a glass of water and say, "This is water." It can be half full or half empty. A totally unrelated, silly gimmick. That I'm
yes.
sure will forever live as a meme and a
It's going
testament
it's going to be
to Nigeria's.
it's going to be a long-term meme, and it will make its way around the world. It's not
It will.
it's that kind of thing that it's not going to be restricted to Nigeria.
To Nigeria, yeah.
It's something that will go around. Anyway,
But the thing
yes,
is
you
I
were
just want
right.
to say
You were
thank
no, you
you.
were right last week.
Yeah.
You were right last week. It does appear that the attack on the Iranians was because they knew that that's a tranche of a bombshell of the
Mm.
Epstein files will come out this week, or this week
And it's
just passed,
working.
and that
The
it's
distraction is working
I
because
don't no, I don't think so.
no,
I don't
because
think
Cheta,
so.
the allegation in that email is so disgusting. It's so horrendous that you would think that everyone
Yes.
like, hold on, stop the press. What the hell is this? But
Yeah, so
everyone
where
instead is talking about what I said about Kestama rather than sorry,
so
just
that's
carry on.
here. That's here.
Mm. Okay, well.
Again, as part of my media diet, I watch a lot of American media because at the end of
Mm.
the day, the fact remains that that's why if you live in the West, as I do half the time, America is the bellwether. So you just have
Mm.
to know what the Americans are thinking, and that distraction does not seem to be working quite well in America. So
Right.
for some of the more influential MAGA voices, for example, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and
Mm.
even Alex Jones are, are dead set against the war in Iran. And
Mm.
so the Iran war has not been buried in this in this sorry, this new Epstein files has not been buried. It has dropped, and suddenly the Congress is summoning Pam Bondi, the Attorney
Mm.
General. So it appears to me that that attempt may have failed, and that so it's just going to be a mess for
Mm,
Trump on two aspects. There will be the Epstein files, and there will be the fact that the Iran war, even though, as I said last week, the Americans and the Israelis will win on a tactical level, there is, as
mm,
in, that is never in doubt. But the war appears to be imposing some costs on America, especially via, and then more importantly, on Gulf allies.
mm.
And those costs over time will turn out to be unacceptable. Now,
Yeah.
bringing it back to the UK,
Yeah,
it is in
good.
the
Yeah.
same week that all of this is happening that, I mean, Nigel Farage carried himself and went to go and dobale for Trump. Kemi is busy attacking Keir Starmer for standing aside. And I
Mm,
think I find, so one of the things, like I said, that worries me is in Western countries is when you see things that are immediately familiar to you as a Nigerian or as an
mm,
African. A poll that was conducted showed that only 8% of the British public support joining the war. That's
mm,
8%, not up to 10%. But if you read the media, especially the right-wing media, Daily Mail and Telegraph, all those guys, you would think that Keir Starmer is being
uh-huh.
absolutely crucified
Yep.
for
Yep.
not joining the war. So my thing about, and so this again, bringing it back to the whole Daniel Bola thing, one of the issues is one day Kemi will be reminded where she's from.
Yeah.
She's being reminded subtly, as a matter of fact. Nigerians being Nigerian, we will forgive her and say at the end of the day, she's still our daughter. We are come back home.
Yep.
It's the
And even make
same,
her make her a chief somewhere.
and make her achieve somewhere. It's the same
Make her a
WhatsApp
chieftain.
group.
Yep.
After all, she's our prominent daughter, the first Nigerian Brit to be leader of the Conservative Party. So everything that she has said against Nigeria, against Nigeria and Nigerians, will be all forgiven.
Mm,
That's one of the reasons why we have the kind of society that we have, because as a society, we don't impose costs on people for bad
mm,
behavior. So, same thing with Bola, same thing with Kemi. The day she's reminded that she's not white, that she doesn't really belong. As that, I don't know if you saw that clip of that Nana. I keep forgetting her surname.
oh,
The
yeah.
presenter on GB News. Yeah, the presenter on GB News, when she
Who,
was told point
who,
blank that she doesn't
mm-hmm,
belong, and she
mm-hmm.
was, she was in shock. Now, if she's a thinking person, she would go home and reflect, because
But then
again,
we know she's not. Don't we?
bringing it back to what I talk about, the shift of the Overton window, that conversation would never have happened in this country 10 years ago.
Mm,
But now it is relatively acceptable.
yeah. You know what will also be acceptable right now? A quick break.
Okay,
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Welcome back to the Black Paper. My name is Sundukuyo Naha.
And I'm Cheta Wanze.
Chata, at the beginning of this episode, we clearly said this was going to be the mental health break episode where we just sit, shoot the breeze, chat shit, not talk about politics. But in the very next sentence, Cheta, you took us down the Iran rabbit hole. And we've
I
just
can make the
spent.
I can make the argument that it's not politics, it's geopolitics.
It has politics in the name.
Please. Anyway,
And but yeah, it's
this
been
is water.
quite. I mean, look, I'm going to try and use that argument on my wife and see whether whether he wants.
Has she watched it?
Oh, look, who has not watched? Who has not watched
My
this?
wife has
I,
refused to watch it. As
uh,
in,
I mean, tell her it's good for her mental health. The
unfortunately, she has seen a lot of the reaction on social media. So she
God.
has come to the conclusion that it is not good for her mental health.
No, no, no. What I mean is, as in not watching it is good for her mental health because
Ah,
it will
well.
save her. It will save her shame. But anyway, what else has been? But talk about mental health. A quick plug, if I may.
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
so in Derby, I run something called the CBD project along with other some other folks. And the idea is to use African stories, worldviews to bring communities together. But for a while, we've been running this thing called faith therapy. And faith therapy brings men, African heritage men into barber shops across Davi, and where we just talk, talk about mental health, talk about issues, talk about life. In fact, in the last one, we even had a draft session. We brought draft into the barber shop and let people play. But I bring this up
Why
because
didn't you call me?
uh,
I used to be very good at draft when I was much younger.
oh, interesting, interesting. Well, maybe
But
maybe the next one we'll ship you in to come and beat all the. I mean,
you know some of
there was one guy that just kept eliminating us one after the other. As in, this guy just sat there. Few
the guy
moves next.
the guy that used to play under the palm tree in the village. I
I'm
mean,
telling you,
under the
I said
mango tree. Sorry.
this guy had the because the idea we were thinking we'll have like a competition, but after a few minutes, we're like, no, there's no competition here because this guy was just eliminating people.
Don't include the guy.
Ah, ah.
Uh,
So, but it
the
was good. Yeah, sorry. It was good because we saw men just open up. And at the end of it, people were like, please, let's just keep this going. And it made me realize that of all the things you see about this country, the loneliness, it's not quite like back home in the rigidity of the system, we have an opportunity to also take what we have, whether it's a barbershop, whether it's just places where people come together and encourage each other. So I guess what I'm trying to do is encourage people, especially men, who coming from our cultures have been told that, look, you can't or show emotions or you can't cry or you can't be weak. There are times when you just need to, in fact, not just that, every time you need to have your support system. So please, wherever you are, wherever you're listening from, build your support system where it's not always just about jokes and banter and football. Sometimes just talk about life. Anyway, that's my
I
public
mean,
service announcement.
yeah, no, it's a very important it's a very important announcement. Um, something that's the human condition, and I think this is a discussion that we should start having seriously now that we're in middle age, um, about where we will retire to.
Mm,
So something that doesn't happen too much in our own community is is retirement homes,
mm,
and it's something that I think that the West has cracked. One of the things that kills old people is boredom and loneliness. You could be in this, so our transition, because so we've not made the transition, we've not made the jump mentally in our heads. Come on, sorry, football. And I know you don't watch football. I'm a Juventus fan. Um, I've been a Juventus fan since 1984, and right now we are
wait, how
struggling
old are
for
you?
I know you were one. I know that you were one in 1984. Mhm.
No, no,
Anyway,
no. Please get your facts right.
anyway,
I was two.
anyway. Um, I saying you know we've discussed this before. If we were in the village, you will be getting up whenever I enter.
If
Anyway,
I'll be saying domo. No,
so
I'll be a domo.
Domo is
Oh,
Benin.
well. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
How would
Anyway, so
you? Anyway.
so anyway, as you can see, I'm wearing a Juventus jersey right now.
Mm,
Because so there's a match that's happening. So Juve, we won our so we've not been a force to reckon with in Italian football for a bit. We used to be
mm,
the most dominant team. Now we're struggling to get back into to qualify for next season's Champions League. So I'm following the match between one of our rivals, and they just considered a goal. So
uh,
yeah, so it means that's we our fight to get into the Champions League next season. has gotten is I support two teams, two club teams. Bendel Insurance in Benin where I grew up, and
Mm.
then Juventus. Um, so, so occasionally on the continental space, African continent, I also support the Imba. And
Hey.
yeah, and every once in a while, I'm beginning to take a liking to MK Dons in the UK. So that might be the first English team that I would actually fully support, Milton
Oh,
Keynes Dons.
may I invite you to also take a liking to the Rams? Come on, your Rams.
So supporting MK Dons is natural because my family lives in Milton Keynes.
Mm.
There's nothing that brings me that. So anyway, that's enough of the football detour. What were we even talking about before then? Before we detoured into football.
We're talking about mental health and men. You were talking about the care homes and how
Yeah.
the care practice that. Yeah.
So I think it's because as a society we have not um we've not made that jump from our communal living. Back in the days in the village, it wasn't uncommon to see multiple generations of one family in the same place. So as a result, there was always someone around us. There were always people around the old timers to take care of them and to provide them company. That's
Mm.
giving the transition from the village-based economy to given the transition from the village-based economy to the modern kind of economy. Um, we the old people, the younger people living with the older people and taking care of them. It doesn't happen that much. So if we go back 60 years, it was not
Mm.
uncommon that you would see the mother. Yeah, usually men did not used to live as long as women. It was not
Mm.
uncommon that all the woman's children are still living in the same city. So
Mm.
she's living with one of them, but everybody is not far off. So their children are always there to provide her company. We have moved to a point where invariably, maybe the woman now lives in the village in the east,
Mm.
and then one child lives in Abuja, the other one lives in Lagos, the third one lives in maybe Benin. And this is from 10 years ago. Now,
Mm.
increasingly, what we're ever seeing is a case where the woman lives in the village, and then one child is in Miami, the other one is
Mm.
in Derby, and then the third one is in Ontario. So
Mm.
so in that situation, a more practical thing would be old people's home. But if you tell a lot of our old
Mm.
timers old people's home, so hello, and you become a bad child.
So
So
you just want to that what that means really is that you are tired of me. You want me to just go somewhere and die. I
exactly,
become a problem to you.
exactly. So so for me, I mean, it's what it is. You just have to bear it. But what I'm talking about is us. So I don't think, based on the way Nigeria
Mm.
I don't think at this point in time that old people's homes will take off there.
No, I don't think. I don't think it will
But
ever
but
really.
I also don't think that again. So here is me talking about the fact that we have failed to move with the times. But
Mm.
deep down, I am not sure that I want to retire to an old people's home either. Mhm. So you see the contradiction.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
the que
because
Yeah,
it's not in our DNA.
so the question becomes, would it be a case of me and some friends, as we grow older together, we band together, buy houses in a one place together, so that all of us, that's where we retire. And there's actually an example. There's a place in California. I've been there once on the outskirts of Los Angeles. That's called Little Biafra. And why is it called Little Biafra? There are a lot of people who left Biafra during the Civil War, during Nigeria's Civil War, and then ended up settling in the United States. And many of them bought houses in and the weather is good. I think it's hot.
Mm,
It's hot. That's the kind of heat that goes with our skin color, that kind of stuff.
mm,
So
mm,
they all bought around there. And many of them, I mean, these are people who left. They were all teenagers when the Civil War
mm,
happened. Bear in mind that this was 67 to 70. So these are people who have all entered retirement now.
mm,
So as they are retiring one by one, rather than moving back to Nigeria, because the country has
yeah,
become strange to them.
mm,
And the fact is, because these are conversations that we will need to have. So someone like me, for example, Nigeria will not be strange to me. I still spend half my time in Nigeria. I work here,
mm,
I work in Nigeria. So I still spend half my time in Nigeria. It has not moved away. But
mm.
I know people who moved here or people who moved to the US and haven't been to Nigeria in 10, 15, 20 years.
In fact, do you know? I know
So
someone. Okay, sorry, but when you're done,
yeah,
yeah.
so you have to ask a fundamental question. Can those people really retire to Nigeria? Is it
Mm,
practical to expect them to retire back to Nigeria? Now, the answer may be for sentimental reasons, that's what they want to do.
mm,
But we're saying, and this is something that, again, one of the things is we don't like, as a people, we don't seem to like very tough topics to discuss.
mm.
But there's
Because
a
this
lot,
is tough.
there's evidence that's emerging that quite a number of people who retire back to Nigeria have it rough, have it very, very rough.
Because
Uh,
they're trying to drag a system that's on one end of a spectrum into kicking and screaming into a standard that
that
they've
you've become
acquired
used to.
over time, but that this system actively rejects. So it's
Yes,
almost like an organ transplant, and the host is rejecting the new. But that's also quite interesting because what you're saying now delves into that question of people who are here working their asses off and are building houses, and most times huge monuments back home, places that they only visit maybe once every few years, for 2 3 weeks at most at a time, and you're just wondering why the hell are you spending so much money. But even
it's emotional.
is emotional. But to buttress your point, one of the toughest conversations I've had to have as a counselor here was some elderly man, Nigerian man. He approached me, and he had been finding it difficult to get across to someone at the council, because what he was a more, for lack of better phrase, working on his end of life plan, and wanted to put his funeral, plot and all that in order. And so when this man was talking to me, like, look, I know you're a counselor. I need you to help me, put me in touch with someone that can get this thing sorted. I'm not going to lie to you, Cheta. It took me a few days to action that request because I couldn't get
Process it.
I couldn't process it because, I mean, this was somebody who had come to terms with his own mortality. Now, granted, he's elderly, but the question of mortality is not something that
I will deal with very well.
that we deal with. Yeah. So this man is sat
Forgive me,
here.
can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
So when I first lived in the UK, I remember, so my first introduction to UK politics really was the day my uncle picked me up from Gatwick.
Mm,
I came into the UK on Virgin Nigeria, and my uncle picked me up from Gatwick and was taking me to his house. Before I spent about a week in his house just acclimatizing and all of that before I now moved over to Middlesex, where
mm,
I was a student. Now, um, the ve- the very first program that I heard was Nick Ferrari.
mm,
I would never forget that. Nick Ferrari was my introduction to UK radio. And that day they were talking about, so this is late 2004, and they were talking about plans being drawn up for Margaret Thatcher's funeral. And those plans were being drawn up and in consultation with her, that they were going to
Mm.
meet her to talk about what kind of funeral she would like. And
Mhm.
I found it strange. Like, the woman is still alive and you are going to talk with her
You don't
about
go
it.
like God
But
forbid.
as in, but over time I came to realize that, I mean, it is a practical thing.
Mm.
We will all go one day. So you need to so you want to discuss with me how I want to be sent off.
Mm.
And it occurred to me that Obasanjo was president at the time.
Mm.
If you went to meet Obasanjo, because he has been an old man forever. He
Mhm.
was an old
Mhm.
man then. If you have gone to meet him then and said, even now, Obasanjo is on the other side of 90. But if
Mm.
you go and meet him and say, Oga, how are we going to bury you when you go? God forbid, it is you that will go. Thunder, fire, or father. You know that kind of stuff. Asking.
In fact,
So
but Obasanjo has been so old as a president or whatever for so long that if you, in the context of politics, if you say Baba, everybody knows who you're talking about.
his memory is still very sharp. See,
Yeah.
Obasanjo is somebody that I am frightened of. And let me tell you why. I've met him 3 times.
Mm.
Hmm? Now, the first time I met him was one of his personal assistants is a friend of mine.
Mm.
And he was looking for somebody to come and manage IT at his presidential library. So
Mm.
this I had moved back to Nigeria. He was no longer president. I had just left 234 Next where I was head of IT. And this
Mm.
friend of mine, Atom, was also in 234 Next. That's where we met. So he 234 Next had collapsed. So Atom got
So this
landed a
for next, for
job.
those who don't know, was a newspaper.
Was a newspaper, yes. So Atom landed a job at the Obasanjo Library, and he told Baba about, oh, there's this guy, this IT guy, very good, blah blah blah. So they called me to come to Ota to see him.
Mm.
And now the first thing I noticed, I was Obasanjo has presence. The
Mm.
guy has presence. When he entered the room, I was backing, but as he entered, I knew that something had entered the room. Anyway, he
Are you saying
talked.
are you saying, speaking as an African, that Baba
Yes, I'm
carry?
speaking as an African. I saying Baba get spirits when they follow up. So he entered and something entered the room. Anyway,
Mm.
we talked. We talked. He cracked some jokes, blah blah blah, and then he offered me the job,
Mm.
and I turned him down. And he,
Because
he
of the
looked.
presence.
No, I had heard stories. Obasanjo knew the papers. That
Ah.
kind of stuff. And I had been traumatized by the experience at 234 Next, where we're owed
Mm.
salary before 234 Next collapsed. We're owed
Mm.
salaries for months on end. So I didn't want to go through that again. So I turned him down. The next time I met Obasanjo was 3 years later at the airport.
Mm.
I was waiting to board a flight, and he came in, he had an entourage and all of that. And Obasanjo, a whole Baba zeroed it in on me, small me.
That
I was
small
like,
boy that turned me down.
that I said, he literally said, that small boy, we no grief for me. He said in picture, that small,
Mhm.
see that small boy, we no grief for me, small pikin, we they proud. Omo, I said, see, you can't say this in English. So, see, fear catch me that day. I know would lie.
So
I
it
said,
was probably a good
this
thing
was
that you
this was
you
three
said.
years later. I said, this was 3 years later, and
Mm.
he still remembered me. This is somebody who sees thousands of people each year.
Mm.
He had never seen me before. He was president of the entire Nigeria, but he still remembered me. Almost, I was frightened that day. I said, when you say
Mm.
proper fear, catch me. I met Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan has no presence. In short, of all of Nigeria's presidents since 1990, the only one I never met was Yar'Adua.
Mm.
Buhari has no presence either,
Mm.
but there's
Mm.
something about him. Buhari also there's something or had, there's something that's, as in, you will know that this is not somebody to be messed with. as it were.
Mm, mm.
Tinubu,
So he had that it wasn't piercing, but he had a a look that almost told you I know something about you that you don't think I know.
that's Tinubu. That's Tinubu.
By the way.
Tinubu has a look of, as in Tinubu has a way of, he can look straight at you and you will know that this man can spoil your future. As in as in Tinubu has that look. He will, as in,
Mm.
I can do things to, I can make you do things that you will never believe that you can do.
So if we bring it back to where we started, is that perhaps why? Does that perhaps explain Daniel Boala? Is it the
And
Tinubu effect?
he's probably doing things that he, as in, so Nawasha. But we do have some of them. We do have some
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
But that's Obasanjo thing, man. It's whenever I think of it, I tend to show. The third time I met him, he still remembered it. The third time I met him. So
No,
this was, we were doing a job. This by this time I was already in SBM. So we're doing a nationwide job, and one of the stops was in the presidential library in Abeokuta.
mm,
So
mm,
we went there, and he was present, and
mm.
he remember, small boy, how are you? So yeah, that was all he said. As in, did he say anything other than that? But you
Well,
could tell that
just me and you, we know.
there was that. No, no, no. That's yeah.
Listen, Cheta, this has been one. I don't think I've laughed, had a good laugh on any of our
You said
other
it's a mental
episodes.
health episode now.
Yeah, well, true, true. Because now and then you just need to take a break from all the madness going on, and there is a lot of madness going on right now.
Yeah.
But
Genoa won,
yeah,
by the way.
ah, next time,
Yeah.
next
So
time.
so I'm happy. So what it means essentially for those who are not football heads. So Juve is currently sixth on the Serie A table, but we're on 50 points. Genoa and Como are fourth and fifth respective. Sorry, Roma and Como. Como is fourth,
Mm,
Roma is fifth, and they are all both on 51 points. Next week they play each other. So
mm,
the best outcome for Juve really is when Roma and Como play each other next week. I think it's Roma that is hosting. If they draw, then both of them get on 52 points. That's next week. If
mm.
they if both of them draw. And Juve plays, who do we play? Who do we play next week? It's an away game. It's Udinese. Yeah, we play Udinese next week. Um it's an eminently winnable game. So if
Well,
Como and
that's what Trump said. That's what Putin said.
If Como and Roma draw and Juventus
Um,
beats Udinese, then we go up to fourth. And this is me, like a proper Super Eagles fan, doing mathematics. I'm
doing in
saying
Nigeria, if somebody breaks
we,
their leg and the
we've
coach
gotten,
gives a yellow card,
as a Nigerian football fan, we've gotten so used to, that's what we always do. Okay, if
oh
these
boy,
people win 2-0 and then we manage to
that
draw 1-1, we'll qualify.
will
Man,
qualify. Nothing. No, there's no consideration for if you just play well and score games, score goals.
no, what was that? So how is that funny? What was the fun in that?
By the way, Chester, this has been a good one. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, next week we'll come back to the madness, but today let's just have
Let's
a
just let
slow.
our head down.
Yep, yep. In my
All right.
case, literally.
Oh well. I I can't, I don't have the luxury of growing my hair because my hair doesn't grow too long. B, I have Omono by my side. So if I start
Ah,
growing my hair, the thing will show. I'm one of those people, I didn't quite bald, but I came close.
look, do what works for you, man, and no one will ever
Of
know.
course. Of course.
All right, bro.
All
See
right
you
then.
at
Cheers.
one.
Cheers.